Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani classes. If you are watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel. Hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video we will cover the third part of the chapter Deep Water, written by William Douglas from class 12 CBSE. So let's get started. Now he is saying, a few years later, when I came to know the waters of the Cascades, I wanted to get into them. So here he is saying that after a few years later, he came to know about waterfalls and wanted to go in it and have fun there, even though still he had a fear of water inside of him and he dared to go on waterfalls. So the Cascades refers to group of lakes or waterfalls, and says whenever I did, whether I was wading the Titan or bumping river or bathing in warm lake of the goat rocks. So finally he used to get into the water such as lakes or waterfalls, and says whenever he walks on the Titan river or running water in the river or for swimming and bathing in the warm lake of the goat rocks, the terror that had seized me in the pool would come back. That means the old fear or old terror of water when he was about to die in the swimming pool at YMCA would come and seized him. Further he says it would take possession of me completely, my legs would become paralyzed. So when he used to take bath or swim in the warm lake, the fear of water would come and take possession completely on him. Then his legs would become paralyzed and would not be able to move at all, and then felt icy horror would grab my heart. That means cold terror or painful fear would grab his heart and would make him stand still. The handicap stayed with me as the years rolled by. So here he is talking about the fear as a handicap, and says for many years wherever he went, this handicap fear remained with him. In canoes on many lakes, fishing for landlocked salmon, bass fishing in New Hampshire, trout fishing on the Deschutes and Metolius in Oregon, fishing for salmon on the Columbia, at Bumping Lake in the Cascades, wherever I went, the haunting fear of water followed me. So here he describing lakes and rivers where he went, and then the fear of water seized him, and says I went for boating trips, for fishing such as many lakes in Hampshire, Bumping Lakes, Deschutes and Metolius River in Oregon, and says while his trip he fished different kinds of fish such as salmon, bass and trout in these lakes. So as he was enjoying fishing, but at the same time his trip was destroyed because that haunting and scary fear followed him wherever he went. Further he is saying it ruined my fishing trips, deprived me of the joy of canoeing, boating and swimming. So here author is saying that it ruined my fishing trips. That means fear of water destroyed his fishing trip and he did not enjoy boating and swimming in these places. So deprived means take away and canoeing means boating. I used every way I knew to overcome this fear, but it held me firmly in its grip. So here he is saying that he tried a lot and used various ways to remove this fear from his mind, but again fear of water overpowered and seized him. One October I decided to get an instructor and learn to swim. So finally he was able to hire an instructor and went to the pool where the instructor started teaching him swimming, and he used to practice 5 days a week and an hour every single day in the swimming pool. The instructor put a belt around me. So here he was ready to learn swimming, and then the instructor put a belt around him and says a rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on the overhead cable. So he had a kind of rope and it was attached to the belt through a pulley, and the instructor put a belt on William's waist and the rope was grabbed by the instructor to support him while swimming. He held on to the end of the rope and we went back and forth across the pool, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. So here he is saying that the instructor used to hold the end of the rope and he used to jump into the water and go one side of the pool and then come back from there. So same exercise he used to do every hour and day after day. So back and forth means to and fro. Further he is saying when each trips across the pool, a bit of the panic seized me. So whenever he tried to swim across the pool, a bit of panic seized me. That means whenever he went deep into the pool, again the fear of water would come and seized him. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope and I went under, some of the old terror returned and my legs froze. So here he is saying that sometimes the trainer relaxed his hold on the rope. That means the instructor loosened the rope and the author would go under the water, and then he felt helpless in the water, and then the old terror would return and then freeze his legs. So due to old fear, he was not able to move properly. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. From day one, the same exercise he was following in order to learn swimming, and it took at least 3 months for him to reduce the amount of fear of water that he was facing, and after 3 months, he was able to learn swim. So, slack means loosening something or reducing, as the narrator loses fear of water after 3 months. Then he taught me to put my face under water and exhale, and to raise my nose inhale. So the instructor taught him do's and don'ts of swimming and how to breathe in the water, and especially when he goes underwater, that he has to exhale, and for inhale you have to come out of the water. I repeated this exercise hundreds of times. So the narrator was doing very hard work and he was practicing how to inhale and exhale in the water and did this exercise hundreds of times. Bit by bit, I shed a part of the panic that seized me when my head went underwater. So here he is saying that as he was learning swimming day by day, and I shed part of the panic that seized me. That means slowly, gradually, he started overcoming from fear of the water, and he was able to go underwater. Next, he held me at the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs. So this time the trainer changed his strategy because he was able to breathe properly in the water. So he took him into the side of the pool and taught him how to kick with the legs in order to swim. For weeks I did just that. At first my legs refused to work. So here he is saying that he did this practice, how to kick legs, for weeks, but at first my legs refused to work. That means in the beginning his legs were not supporting him at all while practicing. And further he says, but then gradually relaxed, I could command them. So finally, after practicing a lot every day, he got to know that how to use legs while swimming and could command them. Thus, piece by piece, he built a swimmer. So step by step, day by day, the trainer was able to make him a good swimmer. So step by step, day by day, the trainer was able to make him a good swimmer. Now the narrator became a trained swimmer. Further he says, and when he had perfected each piece, he put them together into an integrated whole. So here the trainer or instructor made him perfect in all areas of swimming, such as using legs and hands and breathing or other kinds of strokes in the water, and then he put them together and built him a perfect swimmer. So integrated means joined or combined. In April he said, now you can swim, dive off and swim the length of the pool, crawl, stroke. I did. So here in April, the trainer gave him a green signal to swim and said dive off and swim the length of the pool. That means he allowed him to jump into the water and use crawl stroke. So crawl stroke is a stroke in which the swimmer lying flat on the water while moving legs and hands, and then the narrator joined into the pool, jumped in the pool and did it very well without any support. The instructor was finished, but I was not finished. That means the trainer had done his job very nicely and excellently and made him a perfect swimmer, but I was not finished. That means his job was not over because he had to remove fear of the water from his mind completely. I still wondered if I would be terror stricken when I was alone in the pool. So here he is saying that still he had a doubt in his mind that whether his fear would come back or not when he was alone in the pool, and then I tried it. That means he jumped into the pool to make sure whether fear would come or not. I swam the length up and down. So here William Douglas knew he could swim. So he jumped into the pool and went up and down and then stayed in the water across the pool. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. So again he felt pieces of slightest jerk of fear in his mind and would return. So tiny vestiges means a small indication of jerk of fear. But now I could frown and say to that terror trying to scare me, well, here is to you, look. So here he is saying that this time he did not afraid of water because he was sure that he is a good swimmer, and ready to face that old terror. And while challenging fear of water, he said, "Are you trying to scare me? And if you are trying to scare me, look at me and I am going to challenge you." And off I would go for another length of the pool. So here, after challenging fear, he dive off and from one end to another side of the pool without any difficulties. So after challenging fear, he dive off one end to the another end of the pool without any difficulties. This went on until July, but I was still not satisfied. So he continued with this exercise till July. That means from April to July he spent a lot of time in swimming, but yet he was not satisfied at all because he was only swimming in the pool. I was not sure that all the terror had left. That means he was not sure whether the fear of water had gone from his mind or not. Further he says, "So I went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire, dive off a dock at Triggs Island and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island." So finally he decided to swim in a lake and went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire and dive off a dock at Triggs Island. So he dive off at Triggs Island and chose an area from where the ship arrives and depart, and from there he swam 2 miles. That means approximately he swam 3 kilometers and reached Stamp Act Island. I swam the crawl, breaststroke, side stroke and backstroke. So he used all these strokes that the trainer had taught him, such as swam the crawl, breaststrokes, side strokes and backstroke, and reached Stamp Act Island. Only once did the terror return. So here he is saying that throughout 2 miles of a journey he felt the slightest terror once, and when I was in the middle of the lake I put my face underwater and saw nothing but bottomless water. So here when he was middle of the lake, he just put his head underwater and saw only bottomless water. That means the lake was deep, so deep, and he could not able to see the bottom of the lake. The old sensation returned in miniature. So here the narrator is saying that when he put his head into the water and saw bottomless water, at that time he felt a tiny sensation of fear of water. And then what he did, I laughed and said, "Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me?" So he started laughing and said, "Well, Mr. Terror, what can you do to me?" And then again he dived off into the water and it fled and I swam on. So when he spoke and dived off, the fear in his mind vanished away, but yet I had residual doubt. So that means still he had in his mind some doubt about the fear of water. At my first opportunity, I hurried west, went up to the Titan to Conrad Meadows, up to the Conrad Creek Trail to Medi Glacier, and camped in the high meadows by the side of warm lake. So here he is saying that in order to make sure he wanted to do something different, and what he did, he swam up to Titan River to Conrad Meadows and then climbed up to Conrad Creek Trail to Medi Glacier and put a tent in the high meadows near the warm lake and took some rest there. So now he reached where he wanted to swim in order to make sure whether the fear of water vanished or not. Further he is saying, the next morning I dived into the lake and swam across to the other shore and back. So here William is saying that next day early in the morning he strived. That means he removed his all clothes and dived into the warm lake and swam across the other bank of the lake and then come back from there, and says, just as Doc Cochran used to do. So he swam as just like Doc Cochran used to swim. So Doc Cochran was an excellent swimmer and known for swimming, and William Douglas imitated him how he used to swim in the warm lake. I shouted with joy and Gilbert Peak returned to the echo. So here he is saying that when he came back from there, from other shore of the lake, he got to know that there was no more fear of water in his mind, and he completely overcame from this. And then he, in amusement, he shouted, "Yes, I did it," and his sound would return from Gilbert Peak. I had conquered my fear of water. So finally he shouted, I overcame from fear of water, and no more panic in his mind. The experience had a deep meaning for me, as only those who know stark terror and conquered it can appreciate. So he is saying that at that moment he was feeling very happy, and that moment had a deep meaning for him when he spoke out loud that yes, I did it and I beat the fear of water completely. So he was very happy because he had gone through misadventure in his life, and fear of water completely seized him and overpowering him since his childhood, and he is the only one who suffered a lot and bear the pain of the terror, and then he put a lot of effort to overcome from it, and now he was able to set him free from fear of water and appreciate whatever he has done. So in the last he is saying, in death there is a peace. So in the end he is saying that there is a peace in death and we must not bother about it and it will be peaceful. There is terror only in the fear of death, as Roosevelt knew when he said, all we have to fear is fear itself. So here he is saying that you will face terror when you are afraid that you are going to die, or fear is the only one who terrorized us, and says President of United States had once said, all we have to fear is fear itself. That means once you get frightened, you will set a different mindset to think about that thing, and that mindset will be called as fear, and it will not help you what you want to do in your life. And once you will be able to find out the solution of it, you will move further in life. Because I had experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce, the will to live somehow grew in intensity. So here the narrator is saying that I had gone through both death and fear of death when he met an accident at YMCA pool, but at the same time he had a strong desire to fight with the fear and wished to live a long life, and his confidence increased day by day and helped him a lot to vanish out completely from his mind, and then he conquered it. At last I felt release, free to walk the trails and climb the peaks and to brush aside fear. So finally he is saying that he was able to get rid of fear of water and felt released, and then he could walk the trails, climb the peaks fearlessly because he completely removed fear from his mind. So this is the end of the chapter Deep Water, written by William Douglas. So I hope you liked the video. For more informative videos, do subscribe my channel. Hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.